Hi, so this is the reading of the prologue of Chasing Memories, and I'm in my husband's office, and this is the real me, obviously. So again, from Chasing Memories. Reagan strained to see anything in the pitch black of the tent. It was her first time out of Colorado, and she'd been waiting for a taste of something different for a long while. She'd spent the day hiking around Yellowstone Park with her family, experiencing nature at its most beautiful, and she was having a good time, despite her initial concern about sleeping outdoors with God knows how many species of animals and insects. Dad swore he knew which trails were safe and which weren't. A longtime hunter, Stephen Cooper, spent every Saturday evening with a beer in hand and prey on the brain. With each beer, his tales of narrow escapes and taking down the big one grew grander and more ostentatious. Mom talked him out of hanging the stuffed elk head in the main living room, with its creepy dead eyes following at every turn, but Reagan shuddered knowing it resided in their basement. With all the books she'd read, she could totally imagine it coming back to life, clunking up the stairs and bursting through her door with the desire for revenge. Dad also swore their campsite was safe, even though it bordered on a restricted zone. Park signs were everywhere warning campers to stay in approved areas, but Dad was fearless, or at least he claimed to be. However, since his guns were loaded and he'd been checking them all day, Reagan wasn't so sure. Even though it was July 3rd, it was freezing. Midnight found Reagan and her brother Sam huddled in their down sleeping bags. Mom and Dad were a few feet away in their own tent. And I'm skipping forward a little bit here. Leave a little intrigue. It didn't take long for the medicine to kick in for her to fall asleep. Screaming jolted her awake sometime later. For a brief moment she was confused. Am I still asleep? She realized with increasing horror the screaming was real. In a Benadryl-induced fog, she sat upright, almost fainting from the dizziness the sudden change in position caused. Reaching over to check on her brother, she let out a gasp when her hand found nothing but an empty sleeping bag. He wasn't there. Her heart began to race, and her eyes darted around the tent. As she scrambled out to find him, something hit her from behind and she fell forward, getting a mouthful of dirt. A burning raked down her back and across her right arm, feeling every bit like the time she stuck her hand to a hot iron. She screamed as the agonizing pain engulfed her. Her world went black. She fought her way through the darkness, pain, and the sound of screaming. It took every ounce of energy left to open her eyes. Hazy light filtered in and a face came into focus. Reagan managed to croak out a single word. Mom? Honey, thank God. Mom jumped out of her chair and screamed for a nurse before turning back. I'm so glad you're awake. Your dad and I have been worried sick. A nurse barged through the door. Miss Cooper, what's wrong? Mom pointed to Reagan. She's up. What happened? Reagan slurred. She tried to lift her arm to no avail. Why am I so weak and hazy? The last thing I remember was screaming, she thought. Oh my God, Mom, where's Sam? Mom's eyebrows drew together, almost touching at the bridge of her nose, and her lips pressed into a thin line. Tears ran down her face and dropped off her chin as she locked eyes with her daughter. Something awful's happened. And that's your sneak peek into Chasing Memories, Book 1 of Tala Prophecy.